Hey guys, E10 Sunday from Sunbros. And today we're going to be knocking out another Hero Quick Look video talking about Elsu. Elsu is a marksman assassin and his main job is to harass. As you guys can see on the right side, his constitution is very low, but attack damage and difficulty are above average. Elsu's passive is Stalk. Elsu's normal attacks deal additional physical damage, but the duration between each attack becomes longer, and the attacks cannot be critical strikes. Each 1% critical chance Elsu gains is converted into 3 attack damage. While not in combat, Elsu can also hide next to obstacles and gain 16 to 30% movement speed depending on his level. Elsu's first ability is Sentinel. Sentinel has a 1.5 second cooldown and has a 30 mana cost. Elsu places a device by his feet, enabling him to see everything within 600 to 1000 units, depending on his level, from the device. One device can be placed every 50 seconds, up to 3 devices may be in reserve, and up to 3 may be placed on the map at a time. Each device lasts 300 seconds, but loses its effectiveness if captured by the enemy heroes. Elsu's normal attacks and abilities deal additional damage to those within the area covered by the device. The passive for the Sentinel ability is when he's not moving, Elsu gains 1 stack of ambush every second, up to 5 stacks in total, with each stack increasing 7% armor pierce, for a total of 35%. This effect is cancelled when Elsu moves. Elsu's second ability is Snipe. With a 1.5 second cooldown and 60 mana cost, Elsu aims and fires, dealing massive AD damage, physical damage, and reducing the target's movement speed. Aiming requires 2 seconds, but releasing the shot early may cause it to fire errantly. The ability regenerates a charge every 16 seconds up to a maximum of 3 stored charges affected by cooldown. And Elsu's ultimate is Disengage, with a 30 second cooldown and a 100 mana cost. Elsu leaps backwards and fires in the target direction, dealing physical damage and reducing the target's movement speed by 30% for 2 seconds. After landing, Elsu gains a movement speed buff for 2 seconds, but this effect is cancelled when he uses abilities or attacks normally. Alright guys, now we're going to go ahead and talk about Elsu's pros and cons, discussing a little bit more about what he brings to the table. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start off by talking about Elsu's pros. These are his strengths and the things that he brings to the table, which is going to help you be successful in Elsu. Elsu's first pro is just huge damage, and the majority of that comes in via his second ability, Snipe. With only a 1.5 second cooldown between shots, although it does take 16 seconds to reload, Elsu fires a snipe shot from a massive distance that deals a base of 1000 damage at level 1 and 1600 damage at level 6, with a ridiculous 240% AD scaling, which makes it one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game. So, you know, on average, you're going to be able to get somewhere in the 800 to 1000 range on your auto attacks. So let's say you get to 1000, and then you get 240% scaling. You're looking at 2400 on top of 1600. So you're looking at a 4000 damage hit from one single snipe. And what that translates into in real game is essentially you can almost one-shot Squishy's end game. It's pretty ridiculous. Elsu's damage is very good from the snipe, especially. He also does some damage from his passive, which does 180% of his AD as physical damage on his auto attacks, and he can't crit, and he shoots a really slow shot. So overall, pretty solid. And then his second pro is his huge range, and that also comes via his Snipe, which has a ridiculous amount of range. It can be shot from a huge distance away. And then his third pro also comes from his second ability, Snipe, which is his good vision. While the snipe shot is being charged up, which it can be charged up for a full 2 seconds for it to be fully charged up, but I think you can hold it for like 5 or 6 seconds. You have a massive amount of extra vision on Elsu while you're doing that, which is super helpful. And then the third and final pro is that he's hard to find, and the reason why is because when Elsu stands still with his passive and isn't attacking, he's pretty well camouflaged, and it's not that he's impossible to see, but as the action is going on, and if you're not looking for Elsu, you won't be finding him. So those are Elsu's 4 pros, and now we're moving on to his cons, which are his weaknesses and things you're going to want to exploit if you're playing against Elsu in order to be successful against him. And the first con is that Elsu has bad mobility and he's very, very squishy. Now, Elsu's ultimate does give him a pretty solid I'm gonna say he leaps backwards is what the description says. He jumps backwards. It's pretty solid. He can go through a lot of walls, but it has a fairly decent cooldown at 30 seconds at level 1, 20 seconds at level 3, and if he doesn't have that up, he struggles to get away from any kind of attack. Now he does have the movement speed boost when he's next to structures or buildings, which can come in handy, but for the most part, the reason why I say squishy has bad mobility, because if he's out far enough, he's going to get caught. Even though he ults, he's not really generally going to get away from some of those high CC heroes, and if he gets caught out and crowd controlled at all by anyone, he's dead meat because he's very, very squishy. Second con is that he has a really low team fight presence. So that doesn't mean he's useless in team fights. It just means that he's not going to bring as much to the table as someone like Talanas or Violet or Morn or one of the high damage, high auto attack damage marksmen who can kind of sit into the fight and really shred. Elsu's big strength is his second ability, sniping, which he can shoot and do a lot of damage from a distance, but it isn't going to ever be as useful in a team fight or as potent as another marksman who can really just sit there and melt people one at a time. And it's very potent.
Of the Falcon.
And then last but not least is his low attack speed. So the heroes in Arena of Valor attack at a 1.0 ratio, which means they do 1 attack per second. Elsu has a decrease in his attack speed, I guess because his attacks hit harder than the average person, even though they don't crit. So I find the lack of crit to also be a negative. Each hit hits quite a bit harder, but he doesn't get to shoot as often, and he will never crit. And crits are a big deal in this game. So Elsu shoots at a 0.7 ratio. So he shoots 1 shot every about 1.3 seconds. So it takes him 7 shots. It takes him 10 seconds to get 7 shots in, whereas the average person in this game auto attacks 10 times in 10 seconds. So it's about 70% as fast as all the other heroes, and it's a big time issue for him if he gets in close, where he's not ever going to be as potent at a range where he's auto attacking as some of the other marksmen in the game, and it's a bit of an issue. It's a bit of a weakness. Now Elsu's still one of the strongest heroes in the game though. So alright guys, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the hero quick look on Elsu. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time.